People say that when you get old, you stop fearing things. They're wrong. Fear doesn't disappear. It just changes its shape. When you live long enough, you start realizing that the scariest things aren't monsters, but patterns. I learned that when I turned 68. Every night at exactly 2:17 a.m., my house made a sound. Not a creak, not the wind, not pipes. It sounded like someone sitting down very carefully. I live alone. My wife passed away 8 years ago. No children, no pets. Just me and a house I bought in 1979. The sound always came from the living room. At first I ignored it. Old houses make noises. Old people imagine things. That's what I told myself. But imagination doesn't follow rules. This did. 2:17 a.m. Every night, no exceptions. One night I stayed awake. I turned off the TV at 1:55, sat in my bedroom chair, lights on. I watched the digital clock change. 12:16, 2:17, and then I heard it, a soft exhale, like someone relieved to finally sit down. My heart didn't race. That was the strange part. I felt recognized, as if whatever was out there already knew me. I didn't move. Minutes passed. Nothing else happened. The next morning, my living room chair had shifted. Just an inch. Not enough to notice unless you lived there for decades, which I did. That day, I checked my doors. Locked. Windows shut. No signs of entry. That night, I slept with the bedroom door open. At 2:17, the sound came again. Closer. Not in the living room this time. In the hallway. The sound of weight settling. A person careful not to wake someone. I whispered, "Hello?" The word felt stupid the moment I said it. There was no reply, but something stood up. I heard joints move, not cracking, but bending the way old joints do. Then footsteps, bare feet, dragging slightly. They stopped outside my door. I don't remember deciding to look. I just did. The hallway was dark, but darker than it should have been, as if the shadows were thicker there. Someone was standing where my wife used to stand. When she checked on me at night, same height, same posture, but wrong. No face, just the suggestion of one. Like someone forgot to finish drawing it. I closed my eyes. When I opened them again, the hallway was empty. The clock read 2:19. The next day, I found something in the living room. A dent on the chair cushion, perfectly shaped, like someone had been sitting there for a very long time. I didn't sleep that night, or the night after, but at 2:17 every night, I still heard it, sitting, breathing, waiting. On the 7th night it spoke. It used my voice. From the living room I heard myself say, "You're late." I felt something settle inside me then. Not fear, understanding. That thing wasn't visiting. It was returning. I followed the sound. The chair was occupied. Something sat there shaped like me, older than me. Worn, its hands rested on its knees the way mine always do. It turned its head and smiled with a mouth that remembered being human. "I've been saving your place," it said. "You've been living my years." I understood. This wasn't a ghost. It wasn't a demon. It was what remains when time finishes with a person but forgets to take them away. It stood. I felt myself sit. The chair was warm, perfectly fitted. At 2:17 a.m., the house made a sound. Someone sitting down very carefully, and somewhere, a younger version of me was sleeping in my bed, unaware that one day he would hear the sound too. I didn't turn around. I don't know why. The footsteps behind me stopped the moment I froze. No breath on my neck, no sudden movement. Just the sound of standing. I sat there, staring at the dark television screen, my reflection barely visible. I counted my breaths. 1, 2, 3. Slowly, carefully, I turned my head. There was nothing behind me. The living room was exactly the same as it always was. Couch, coffee table, front door, empty. The footsteps had vanished, but my phone was still vibrating in my hand. I looked down. The fitness app was open. The step counter was increasing. One step, then another, even though I was sitting perfectly still. That was the night I stopped denying it. Something was moving inside my house, and it wasn't random. It was following a pattern. My pattern. The next morning I called in sick to work. I told myself I needed rest, but what I really needed was answers. I walked through my house slowly, paying attention to details I'd ignored before. The hallway carpet was slightly darker in places. worn down, as if someone had walked the same route hundreds of times. I hadn't noticed it because the change had been gradual. Just like everything else, I checked my doors, locked, windows closed. No signs of forced entry, no broken glass, nothing missing, nothing added. That was the worst part. If something had been taken, if something had been moved, I could have blamed a person. But this felt internal, like the house itself was doing it. I spent the day cleaning, vacuuming the hallway, straightening furniture, removing anything that could make noise. I even laid down flour near the hallway entrance. I'd seen that trick online. If someone walked through it, there would be footprints. Proof. That night, I didn't sleep in my bedroom. I stayed on the couch, lights on, phone recording audio. I didn't expect anything to happen. And for a while, nothing did. Midnight passed. 1 a.m., 2 a.m. I began to relax. Maybe it had stopped. Maybe acknowledging it had broken whatever cycle was happening. Then the clock hit 3 a.m. and my phone vibrated. Activity detected. Before I could react, the footsteps began. Not behind me, not in the hallway, but in the bedroom. Slow, measured, walking from the far end of the room toward the door. I sat up, heart pounding. The footsteps stopped at the bedroom doorway. Then they turned and walked back. Bedroom to hallway, hallway to bathroom, bathroom to hallway. I stared at the hallway entrance. Nothing crossed into the living room, but the step counter kept rising. Then something new happened. The footsteps paused, and a sound followed. A soft exhale. Not loud, not threatening, just breathing. I held my breath to listen more clearly. The breathing continued, and then I realized something that made my stomach tighten. The rhythm matched mine. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Perfectly synchronized. I ended the recording and stood up. I didn't care anymore. I needed to see it. I walked toward the hallway. As soon as I stepped forward, the footsteps stepped too. Same timing, same pace, like a delayed reflection. I stopped. They stopped. I whispered, "Hello." My voice sounded small in the quiet house. For a long moment there was nothing. Then, very softly, something whispered back. It used my voice. It wasn't a clear word, more like an echo, a repetition, the sound you hear when you play a recording too close to a speaker. My voice, but hollow, flattened, wrong. I backed away. The footsteps followed, one step behind me, always one step behind. I ran, not fast. Running felt like a mistake. Instead, I moved quickly to the front door and unlocked it. Cold night air rushed in. I stepped outside and slammed the door behind me. For a moment, I felt relief. I was out. Whatever it was inside. I sat on the porch, shaking, watching the door. Minutes passed. Nothing happened. Then my phone vibrated again. Activity paused. I stared at the screen. Paused, as if it was waiting. I looked up at the dark window beside the door. And in the reflection, I saw movement. Not a figure, not a shape. Just the suggestion of someone standing where I usually stand, facing the door, as if learning, as if watching how I left. I didn't go back inside that night. I slept in my car. When morning came, I checked the app one last time. The steps hadn't stopped at 3:30 a.m. like usual. They continued all the way until sunrise, pacing, waiting, practicing,